What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down, what's really moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that said, let's get right to it. So currently Lucid is down 2.15%, 6.1 million shares being traded, 24 is the average. So another day that you're seeing like Lucid getting overlooked by institutions. So only one transaction being done today on the secondary market above $100,000. So not necessarily the best. And what makes Lucid very frustrating over this last week, as you can kind of see, it is down 5.71%. And during this week, for the most part, the market realized that there is going to be a rate cut probably in this meeting. So September 18th, 2024. It has gone down a little bit, and that is because of the recent data that did come out today. So the non-farm payroll came in at 272 versus 182 the forecast. So it was good data. Right now the market wants bad data to justify rate cuts. So it's kind of a weird market that we're in, but beside the point though, as you can kind of see, so it went from 11 to now 4.6 for a 50 basis point cut, and it went from 57 to 51.6. Still, that is a good likelihood that there's going to be a rate cut in September. And so the market absolutely loved that over this last several trading days. EVs are very sensitive to interest rates, but what does Lucid do? It just goes down. So I think it's just a very unfortunate circumstance that Lucid is in. And I think right now, the market and large institutions are just overlooking Lucid because they think that it's not really going to amount to anything, despite having a very good advantage when it comes down to its technology. Because even the best technology out there, if you do not know how to market your company or your product, you are going to fail. So this is something that Lucid does need to come to the realization on, that their marketing sucks. It is absolutely horrible. And for a lot of retail investors to really question exactly what the hell is happening is just not good. And they actually did a post on social media recently, kind of advertising this video, hyping it up about the Gravity. This is their second, I guess, video or whatever they want to call it for the Gravity series. It's 1 minute and 40 seconds, and there's absolutely nothing said in here for anyone to pay attention to it. So once again, why even waste time? I don't even want to guess how much this video actually probably cost Lucid. Like, that's just absolutely insane waste of money. And yeah, even though this is good, like if they would have given some additional context and maybe some Easter eggs in here, then yeah, that would be good. But this 1 minute and 41 second that they really hyped up, even based on social media posts, it's just, I don't know. I see this as a pretty substantial waste. Even if you look over to their Twitter page or X, whatever the hell you want to call it, like, it's nothing of substance. It looks like they're just trying to market it to the best of their ability, but like none of this is really incentivizing anyone to go out and buy Lucid. That's just my own interpretation. Of course, you guys might be completely different. You guys might like this news and go out and buy it because of it, but that's one thing that Lucid has always struggled with, and this is why it's never had a short squeeze, because it doesn't have any good catalysts. And as I've said in the past, shorts have been overdone with Lucid, but in order for you to get them gone, you need like a catalyst. You need something. Right now, shorts are minorly returning some shares, so 202,000 shares, but 27.7% of the free float is being shorted. That is just extremely high. Utilization 96.89, 245.36 million shares overall are being shorted. So when it comes down to Lucid, a lot of people are getting very excited about what's happening with GameStop, Roaring Kitty, and everything else, and saying, hey, imagine if he actually jumped over to Lucid, which is very heavily shorted, and it squeezed. Which, you know what, if he did jump over to Lucid, it definitely would squeeze. But I think right now shorts have been sticking around with Lucid because they know Lucid doesn't really develop their marketing. It seems like from what they've done layoff wise, and especially of the VPs, they just don't know how to manage. So I really like the product, as I've said in the past, but this is getting a little bit overdone. Even rate cuts or the anticipated rate cuts in the market clearly isn't enough to help Lucid. And I think right now, like, people are trying to determine exactly the appropriate price point for Lucid. So right now the PS ratio is 10.4, future is 7.6. So in comparison to a normal EV, or I guess a comparable EV, which is Rivian, like it is way overpriced. Lucid is, of course. So Rivian's PS ratio is 2.3 and the future is 2.3. So again, that's kind of more in line with Polestar, NIO, the other EVs, even Tesla. But usually after I do say this, this is where a lot of bulls do say, well, you know what, Lucid is more finite, is more comparable to Ferrari. So I pulled that up as well. So their PS ratio is 11.2. Ferrari is obviously profitable, so this is why you have P ratios and everything else, but 11.2. So do you think that Lucid being at 10.4 is justified? No. Ferrari is profitable, even though, yeah, they don't produce a significant amount of vehicles. It's still, Lucid shouldn't be compared to Ferrari at this stage in the game, because it's kind of one of those weird scenarios that I've had a lot of arguments with a lot of bulls on Lucid. And when Lucid doesn't really ramp up on production, their argument is, well, they're more of a high-class vehicle, they're more similar to Ferrari. But then you hear Lucid during earnings, they're talking about ramping up. So I think like right now, Lucid doesn't really know exactly what they want to be for similar, unless it's more of a hybrid between Rivian and Ferrari, or I don't really understand. So I think a lot of analysts have that same confusion and don't know exactly how to appropriately value Lucid. So this is why I think right now institutions are kind of taking a step back, and shorts have been able to really run the show with Lucid. So my apologies on this rant. It just is getting very tiresome with Lucid on how it's kind of just still lackluster and how it's not even above the $3 range. A lot of stocks are rallying like crazy, and Lucid is just once again getting overlooked. Looking at options, 64,000 in calls, 28,000 in puts, but sentiment wise, 57% of all the options being done today are bearish. Looking at the call options that are being purchased though, there's a consensus for it to be above $3, or I guess at least by $250 by June 21st. So it's not necessarily the most optimistic for that. But then looking at puts, you do see a consensus for it to be sub $2.50. So these are some of the transactions that have occurred on the dark pool. So it's been rather quiet ever since June the 4th. So again, something to keep in mind. And on the actual, for the technicals at least, with it right now at $2.75, it is trading between this S1 and this pivot. So it did bounce off of this S1. So Lucid's support levels are at least good. So we do know $2.70, so that S1 is good going into the next several trading days, so early next week. Vice versa, $2.80 will be that next strong target / resistance. So right now, Lucid's technicals aren't the best. Luckily enough, it is still above that 50-day moving average though, so that's definitely something to very, very much watch for, and that's ultimately around that $6.70 range. So watch for that to hold like a champ, because if it does break below this, we all know exactly how Lucid does go below that 50-day moving average generally. Stochastic, you do see it at roughly around 42, so it's not really overbought nor oversold, and there isn't a defined trend right now. Number of retail investors probably are stuck in limbo. They don't really know what to do, so they're not doing all that much today, but then again, maybe they're just focused on GameStop. So Roaring Kitty does have a live stream, I think, in about an hour, so that could change the whole dynamic of a lot of squeeze plays out there, such as Lucid and many others. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Give yourself a shout out if you have been buying, if you've been selling, what have you been doing with Lucid. And one final thing, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for a new account, throw $100 at it, and they give you 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So take advantage of this. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.